Devaya. Text 23. Yadasya nalinaad aham asam mahatmanaha navidam yagna samvaran purusha vyayavanrata.
When I was born from the abdominal lotus flower of the Lord Mahavishnu, the great person, I had no ingredients for sacrificial performances except the bodily limbs of the great personality of Godhead.
Text 24. Teshu yagnasya pasavaha savannaspataya kushaha idam cha deva yagnanam kalaschoru gunanvitaha.
For performing sacrificial ceremonies, one requires sacrificial ingredients such as flowers, leaves, and straw, along with the sacrificial altar and a suitable time, spring.
Text 25. Vastuni aushadaya sneha rasaluha mrito jalam Sachoya jumshi samani chaturhutram cha satama.
Other requirements are utensils, grains, clarified butter, honey, gold, earth, water, the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, and the Sama Veda, and 4 priests to perform the sacrifice.
Text 26. Namadhyani mantrascha dakshinascha vratani cha devatanu kalpa sankalpastantram evacha.
Other necessities include invoking the different names of the demigods by specific hymns and vows of recompense in accordance with the particular scripture for specific purposes and by specific processes.
Text 27. Tatayomattayaschaiva prayashchittam samarpanam Purushavaya vedete sambaraha sampratamaya.
Thus I had to arrange all these necessary ingredients and paraphernalia of sacrifice from the personal bodily parts of the personality of Godhead. By invocation of the demigods, names the ultimate goal, Vishnu was gradually attained. Thus, compensation and ultimate offering were complete.
Text 28. Iti sambrata sambaraha purushavaya variyaham Tammeva purusham yagnam tenevayam ishwaram.
Thus I created the ingredients and the paraphernalia for offering sacrifice out of the parts of the body of the Supreme Lord, the enjoyer of the sacrifice, and I performed the sacrifice to satisfy the Lord.
Text 29. Tataste prattare ime pragnanam patayo nava ayanyan vyaktam avyaktam purusham susamahitaha.
My dear son, thereafter your 9 brothers, who are the masters of living creatures, perform the sacrifice with proper rituals to satisfy both the manifested and non-manifested personalities.
Text 30. Tatascha manava kale ijrarashayo parai Pitaro viputta daitya manushya kratubir vipum.
Thereafter, the Manus, the father of mankind, the great sages, the forefathers, the learned scholars, the Daityas, and mankind perform sacrifices meant to please the Supreme Lord.
Text 31. Narayane Bhagavati Tat Idam Vishwam Ahitam Krita Mayuro Gunaha Sargadava aguna swataha.
All the material manifestations of the universes are therefore situated in his powerful material energies, which he accepts self-sufficiently, although he is eternally without affinity for the material modes.
Text 32. Shujami tanya yuktoham haro harati tatvasaha vishvam purusho rupena paripati trishakti traka.
By his will I create, Lord Shiva destroys, and he himself in his eternal form as the personality of Godhead maintains everything. He is the powerful controller of these three energies.
Text 33. Iti te vihitam tata yathetam anuprachashi nanyad bhagavata kinchit pavyam sad asad atmakam.
My dear son, whatever you required from me, I have thus explained unto you, and you must know for certain that whatever there is, either as cause or as effect, both in the material and the spiritual worlds, is dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Text 34. Na bharati me nagamrishupalakshite na vekvachin me manaso mishagati na me rishikani patanti asatpate yan me razotkantayava tatrito hari.
That's why it smells, because your urine is not the best scent anyway, because you're not drinking enough water.
O Narad, because I have caught hold of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, with great zeal, whatever I say has never proved to have been false, nor is the progress of my ever deterred, nor are my senses ever degraded by temporary attachment to matter.
Text 35. Soham samanaya maya stapomaya prajapati nama bivanditapati astaya yogam nipunam samartitas tam nadyagacham yata atma sambhava.
Mataji, could you move this? Thank you. Although I am known as the great Brahma, perfect in the disciplic succession of Vedic wisdom, and although I have undergone all austerities and am an expert in mystic powers and self-realization, and although I am recognized as such by the great forefathers of the living entities who offer me respectful obeisances, still I cannot understand him, the Lord, the very source of my birth.
Text 36. Natosmi aham tar charanam samiyusham Pavakchitam swastyayanam sumangalam Yo hi atma maya vibhavam sma paragat Yathana paswantam atha parakuta.
Therefore, it is best for me to surrender unto his feet, which alone can deliver one from the miseries of repeated birth and death. Such surrender is all auspicious and allows one to perceive all happiness. Even the sky cannot estimate the limits of its own expansion. So what can others do when the Lord himself is unable to estimate his own limits?
Text 37. Naham nayuyam yadritam gatim vidur Navamadeva kimata parasuraha Tanmayaya mohita bhutastva itam Vinirmitam chatma samam vikashmahai.
Since neither Lord Shiva nor you nor I could ascertain the limits of spiritual happiness, how can other demigods know it? And because all of us are bewildered by illusionary external energy of the Supreme Lord, we can see only this manifested cosmos according to our individual ability.
Text 38. Yashavatara karmani gayanti hai asmat adaya nayam vitanti tadvena tasme bhagavate namaha.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto that Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose incarnations and activities are chanted by us for glorification, though he can hardly be fully known as he is.
Text 39. S isha adya purushaha kalpa kalpa shajatiyaja atmani atmanatmanam samyachate paticha.
That Supreme Original Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, expanding his plenary portion as Mahavishnu, the first incarnation, creates this manifested cosmos, but he is unborn. The creation, however, takes place in him, and the material substance and manifestations are all himself. He maintains them for some time and absorbs them into himself again.
Text 40 to 41. Vishuddham kevalam jnanam pratyak samyak avashtitam satyam purnam anadiyantam nirgunam nityam advayam rishevitanti munaya prashantatmaindriya yashaya yata tat eva sattargas tirodiyate viplatam.
The personality of Godhead is pure, being free from all contaminations of material tinges. He is the absolute truth and the embodiment of full and perfect knowledge. He is all-pervading, without beginning or end, and without rival. O Narad, O great sage, the great thinkers can know him when completely freed from all material hankerings, and when sheltered under undisturbed conditions of the senses. Otherwise, by untenable arguments, all is distorted, and the Lord disappears from our sight.
We scroll up, please. Text 42. Adyovataraha purusho parasya kala swabhava satasanmanascha Ravyam vikaro guna indriyani virat swarat tanucharino bhumna.
Garanarnavasai Vishnu is the first incarnation of the Supreme Lord, and he is the master of eternal time, space, cause and effects, mind, the elements, the material ego, the modes of nature, the senses, the universal form of the Lord, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and the sum total of all living beings, both moving and non-moving.
Text 43 to 45. Aham bhavo yagna ima pajashe dakshadayo ye bhavatadasya cha swalokapala khagalokapala nilokapala stalalokapala gandharva vidyadhar. Scroll down a little bit, please. Gandharva Vidyadharacharanesa Ye Yaksharakshoraganatha Ye Varishinam Rishabha Pitranam दैत्येन्द्रसिद्धेश्वरदानवेन्द्रः अन्ये च ये प्रेतपिशचा भूता कुष्मन्दयादो मृगपक्षी अदिशः यत्किञ्च लोके भगवान् महस्वत् ओजसहस्वत् बलवशमावत् श्रीविभूतिरात्मावान् अभूतलम् तत्त्वं परं रूपवतः स्वरूपम्.
I myself, Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, great generations of living beings like Daksha and Prajapati, yourselves, Narad and the Kumars, heavenly demigods like Indra and Chandra, the leaders of the Burloka planets, the leaders of the earthly planets, the leaders of the lower planets, the leaders of the Gandharva planets, the leaders of the Vidyahara planets, the leaders of the Charanaloka planets, the leaders of the Yakshas, Rakshas, and Ugras, the great sages, the great demons, the great atheists, and the great spacemen, as well as the dead bodies, evil spirits, Satans, jinn, Gusmandas, great aquatics, great beasts, and great birds, etc. In other words, anything and everything which is exceptionally possessed of power, opulence, mental and perceptual dexterity, strength, forgiveness, beauty, modesty, opulence, and breeding, whether in form or formless, may appear to be the specific truth and the form of the Lord, but actually they are not so. They are only a fragment of the transcendental potency of the Lord.
Text 46. Pratanyato yan risha manante leelavataran purushasya bhumna apiyatam karna kashaye shoshan anushkramishyeta imam supeshan.
O Narad, now I shall state, one after another, the transcendental incarnations of the Lord, known as Leela avatars. Hearing of their activities counteracts all foul material accumulated in the ear. Hearing of their activities counteracts all foul matters accumulated in the ear. These pastimes are pleasing to hear and are to be relished. Therefore, they are in my heart.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, both Harsha Mataji and Bhakti Nidhi Mataji. Thank you for your service.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for being in the group today. So I'm in a very different place today. Traveled nearly 180 miles. I'm in the thing of Gloucestershire. So I don't have all the gadgets on internet, so I'm doing it only through my mobile. So please forgive me if I'm not up to the standard. So today, I think the verses we had to discuss are from 27 to 30 of chapter 6. So before discussing, should we just do a quick prayer? Okay. My internet can be a bit slow, so please bear with me. अज्ञानातिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। जय श्री कृष्ण। So today, the chapter is on the verses are from 27 to 28 and 29. So 27, 28. Am I right? 27, 28, 29 or 28, 29, 30. Let me just check, Mataji. 27, 28, 29, 30. It's all the 4 verses. Okay. So this chapter 6, all of you all know, it is again describing all the features of the universal form of the Lord. The universal form of the Lord, Virat Purusha. So when we go just a bit of a this is the way how I like to start usually, just to get a hang of things, is that from the Virat Purusha, every part of the body is designated as generating something or the other in this material and also in the spiritual world. And the mouth is the generation for the voice, and on each part also they are controlling demigods, deities who control that particular function. So for the mouth it is Agni, and then from the skin and all the 6 layers, your Vedic hymns originate. And from the tongue, you have the production of different food substances, as we were seeing, all the foodstuffs and all the materialistic things, which we can offer to the demigods, the forefathers, and also the general people. From the nostrils, obviously, we have the prana, which is the air for breathing. And the smell, the function of the smell is to generate all these medicinal herbs. And again, the deity for that is Ashwini Kumaras. And the breathing also propagates lots of fragrances. The eyes represents mostly the sun and other heavenly planets. The ears are for hearing, and they are hearing for the Vedic scriptures, basically, of the Vedas, basically. And the hearing, obviously, the sound comes from the sky. And your body surface, they say, is the breeding ground for the active principles of auspicious opportunity. So it gives you, you have to take, to do auspicious things. So that is the thing, you have to utilize whatever is available. So again, that gives the function of the skin, the generation of touch, which we know. The hairs, again, from the Mahavirata Purusha, represents the hairs of the body. They represent for vegetation, the cause of vegetation, trees, and all the ingredients for sacrifice. And the body, the hairs on the head are for a reservoir for clouds. And the nails represent electricity, stone, and all the iron ores. The arms are the production fields for the great demigods. And the legs shelter for all the heavenly planets, upper, lower, and heavenly planets. The lotus feet is for the protection of all kinds of beings. Again, upper genitals is for procreation, for water, for rains, and cause of pleasure, because this cause of pleasure counteracts the distress of bearing a child. And the anus, now the anus, or the evacuation thing, is abode of the controlling deity called Mitra, and it's a place of ignorance, envy, frustration, basically, envy, misfortune, and death. And the back is the place for ignorance and frustration. Veins are for rivers, and the bones represents mountains. The impersonal feature of the Lord, which does with no form. So that Brahma Jyoti, or the no form feature, is the abode of all the big oceans. And the belly is a resting place of all the materialistic annihilated people, dead people, basically. The consciousness of the Virata Purusha is where all the religious principles lie, and where all the truth and all your transcendental knowledge, that's the purest form, lie there. So as we know, 1/4 of this material opulences is the 1/4 of all of these energies is for the material opulences, and 3/4 is for spiritual. So in this 3 verses, basically we can go one after another, but the main essence is on what is peace and what is sacrifice, basically. That's what they're trying to concentrate on. And how do we get peace? We get peace by performing sacrifice and by practicing austerity. And sacrifice, why do we do the sacrifice? It is, you have to, so what is sacrifice, first of all? That is, whatever our interest, our personal interest we have to forego that and try to forego that for whom? For the satisfaction of the Lord. Or a second person, if you want to sacrifice for your child, then you will not want to go and you'll miss your sleep to look after the child. Or you might miss your meal, or you might miss the most interesting thing to do to look after the child. So that's a sacrifice for your child. The same way, the sacrifice we need to do for the Lord, not for ourselves. And that is what is called sacrifice. So I'm just wondering if one of you all could just read the verses in detail, and then we can go a bit more, if that's okay. If somebody can volunteer to read the 27th verse, please. The purports. You can do the translation and purports is okay. Somebody can read the verse is also fine.
Read Mataji.
Can I? Oh, somebody.
One can read the this thing, and one can read the verse, and somebody can read the purport. Is that okay? Among both of you.
Okay. Okay, I'll read the translation. Thus, I had to arrange all these necessary ingredients and paraphernalia of sacrifice from the personal bodily parts of the personality of Godhead. By invocation of the demigod's names, the ultimate goal, Vishnu, was gradually attained, and thus compensation and ultimate offering were complete. Hare Krishna.
It's the purport. In this source, special stress is given to the person of the Supreme Lord, and not to his impersonal Brahma Jyoti as being the source of all supplies. Narayan, the Supreme Lord, is the goal of sacrificial results, and therefore the Vedic hymns are ultimately meant for attaining this goal. Human life is thus made successful by pleasing Narayan and getting entrance into the direct association of Narayan in the spiritual kingdom of Vaikuntha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So it is very clearly explained over here. Like, obviously, we have to sacrifice or do a sacrifice or dedicate our sacrifices to Narayana or Lord Vishnu. And we have to be so that we can get an association and entry into the spiritual kingdom of Vaikuntha. So that's the main aim for all of us. So we have to use this human life, because how can we, in this form, how can we actually do this sacrifice? When you look at it, even animal forms also, the mother instinct for the animals look after the babies is there. They sacrifice a lot to look after the children. So we as human beings, we're much more superior than them. So we should do much more better things than any animal would do. And if you do not have those qualities, of actually getting into, awakening your consciousness and for serving the Lord, then the purpose of human life, Srila Prabhupada says, is like an animal with 2 hands and 2 legs, 4 limbs. You're just like an animal, but we're just standing animal. So that we should not be that. And so the only life where we can achieve those results. So that is what is the main thing is being explained over and over and over and over again. And this is the discussion going on between, so Narada Muni is basically asking Brahma Ji, please tell me how this creation has happened. And so this is a conversation going on. So when our mind, our eyes, our bodies become conditioned, we do not even accept that there is God. And God also will become invisible for us. Demigods, gods, everybody becomes invisible, because you don't want to see it. So your consciousness does not want to see, doesn't believe that there something. Because that's how it becomes more and more coated, more and more dusty it becomes. Because your consciousness is slowly, it'll become very, very small, and then it'll, in a way, you can say, you can't even see it. And then you'll be so engrossed into the material world that you will not even think that Narayana is here or Lord Krishna is available. So our main aim is to awaken that consciousness, and you have to use all your senses for that. And that's why we have all these senses. Your senses like your vision, your eyes, you can see good things, hearing, talking, smelling, and even with your hands, legs, everything, your touch. You can use every part of your body and your tongue, so every part of your body in the seva of the Lord. So can we go to the next verse, if that's okay, please? Anybody volunteering, or I can read this, okay? So
गुरु की जगह गूगल को दे दी.
Verse 28. iti sambrita sambhara purashava yavairaham tameva purusham yagnam tanevaya jamishwaram. So thus I created the ingredients and paraphernalia for offering sacrifices out of the parts of the body of the Supreme Lord, the enjoyer of the sacrifice, and I performed the sacrifice to satisfy the Lord. People in general are always anxious to have peace of mind or peace in the world, but they do not know how to achieve such a standard of peace in the world. Such peace in the world is obtainable by performances of sacrifice and by practice of austerity. In the Bhagavad Gita 5.29, the following prescription is recommended. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhradam sarva bhutanam natva mam shantim prichati. So the karma yogis know that the Supreme Lord is a factual enjoyer and maintainer of all sacrifices and of austere life. They also know that the Lord is the ultimate proprietor of all the planets and is the factual friend of all living entities. So such knowledge gradually converts the karma yogis into pure devotees of the Lord through the association of unalloyed devotees, and thus they are able to be liberated from material bondage. Brahma, the original living being within the material world, taught us the way of sacrifice. The word sacrifice suggests dedication of one's own interest for satisfaction of a second person. That is the way of all activities. Every man is engaged in sacrificing his interests for others, either in the form of family, society, community, country, or the entire human society. But perfection of such sacrifices is attained when they are performed for the sake of Supreme Person, the Lord. Because the Lord is the proprietor of everything, because the Lord is a friend of all living creatures, and because he is a maintainer of the performer of sacrifice, as well as the supplier of ingredients of sacrifice, it is he only and no one else who should be satisfied by all sacrifices. The whole world is engaged in sacrificing energy for advancement of learning, social upliftment, economic development, and plans for developing, so for total improvement of the human condition. But no one is interested in sacrificing for the sake of the Lord, as it is advised in the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, there is no peace in the world. If men at all want peace in the world, they must practice sacrifice in the interest of the Supreme Proprietor and friend of all. So it is so much clearly Srila Prabhupada has explained that how much we do all for ourselves and nothing for the Lord, you know. If only those interests were diverted towards the feet of the Lord, the world would have been a better place. So how to attain peace? The best happiness will be when we do things for others. When we really do things for others, we feel so happy. And why do charitable organizations and all flourish in that way? Because some people volunteer and come and do charity. Like all the people in Krishna consciousness, what's the source of happiness? Because they're doing it for somebody else. They're doing it. They're cooking so that other person can eat, another bhakta can eat, another devotee can eat, and that gives them satisfaction. Whatever it is, a sort of sense gratification, but you're doing it for another person. So if you're doing it for yourself, then that sense gratification is not the right one. But if you're doing it, so sense gratification is allowed as long as it's for other person. So when we do it for Lord, that sense gratification is okay. But when we have the sense gratification for ourselves, for our interest, that is not okay. And that is why you will never be happy if you do it only for yourself. So this is so very clearly, I mean, all of us, all the people, for example, all these billionaires and millionaires who have earned so much of money, at the end of the day, they're not happy. They only become happy once they start donating things, once they start giving away things. Then a little bit of softness comes in them, and then they start feeling a bit happy. So giving things to others makes one more happy. So the same way, Means now because we are just giving it to other people, so you should direct that. The other person is not the Lord, but Lord, you have to give it to the God in God's service of the God, whatever services, and that will give you more happiness. And again, obviously, Prabhupada says that lots of people do sacrifices. Everybody, you see, every materialistic, all the karma yogis, they feel very happy when they do a yagna or when they start distributing whatever, or give good meals to other people, or feed other people, or distribute goods to other people. They feel very, very happy. But again, Srila Prabhupada says, their the karma can become more transcendental only when they are in association with a unalloyed devotee. So however big a gnani is, or however good karmi you are, unless there is one unalloyed devotee who comes and shows your path, you might not be able to achieve the love of God or achieve the path towards the love of the God. No? So it becomes then, so you need this madhyam. So however good you may be in your intelligence or in your work, you still need a devotee to help you. So you need their blessings or their mercy. So that we should understand. And again, Srila Prabhupada is trying to say, like, for human, all of us, like, for you, look at the way how the earth is now, how it was many years ago, and they keep on doing it only for their own self-satisfaction. So, and for the ease, we can see how we can commute from one place to another. Buildings are high, everything is at the fingertips. Everything at the fingertips. So, so we are so much self-centered. So we have to slowly change into being centered for others and to the Lord, mostly to the Lord. But people becomes a bit difficult for materialistic people to convince them. But then slowly they can be convinced with the association of devotees. Can somebody read 29?
I can read, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
My dear son, thereafter your 9 brothers, who are the masters of living creatures, performed the sacrifice with proper rituals to satisfy both the manifested and non-manifested personalities. The manifested personalities are the demigods, like the ruler of the heavenly kingdom, Indra, and his associates, and the non-manifested personalities is the Lord himself. The manifested personalities are mundane controllers of the material affairs, whereas the non-manifested personality of Godhead is transcendental, beyond the range of the material atmosphere. In this age of Kali, the manifested demigods are also not to be seen, for space travel has completely stopped. So both the powerful demigods and the supreme personality of Godhead are non-manifested to the covered eyes of the modern man. Modern men want to see everything with their eyes, although they are not sufficiently qualified. Consequently, they disbelieve in the existence of the demigods or of the supreme God. They should see through the pages of authentic scriptures and should not simply believe their unqualified eyes. Even in these days, God can also be seen by qualified eyes tinged with the ornament of love of God. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So again, as I just said in the previous thing, that how your eyes can be so much conditioned that you cannot even see. You can't even see the demigods nor the Lord. And in this age of Kali, all the more it is. So it becomes more and more worse as the Kali Yuga progresses. So you'll see more and more hinsa, more and more bad things happening, and more atheism will develop. So over here again, Srila Prabhupada is trying to say that if we see through authentic pages, of the Vedas, the scriptures. So the scriptures are there for a purpose, and they have been passed down, So if because we are mere conditioned human beings with the scriptures that will open our spiritual our spiritual eyes and will make us see the Lord. So we have to be also qualified to see that, you know. So you can become, you can see those, see the love of God if you have. I mean, you can, if you have that prema or the tendency to love the God and to believe and that can start off, that can only happen if you, simple thing is to surrender. If you do not surrender, everything comes as a blockage because you're trying to be skeptical. When you're skeptical in your mind, we cannot, because we always want an answer for everything. Sometimes there will be no answers. Does not mean that there is no answer, because we can't see the answers. So if we can see the answers, it's okay, but we cannot see answers for everything, and we think that there is no answer. And that is why people will not believe in God. So, but when can we see those answers? When we start surrendering ourselves to the God, and then the Lord will show us the way how to see the answers, how to see things, how to hear things which other people can't hear. You will start hearing. But that should be done with purity. If you'll ask all the monks and all that, you can see how they can, whatever you're thinking, they can always tell. So what, and immediately they will tell the word, because their association is so pure and their thought process is so pure, they can actually tap into your energy, into your mind, into your thoughts, and they can tell. So over here, Srila Prabhupada is trying to say that. Again, he is reiterating that in this age of Kali, because more and more things are happening, the space travel has stopped. That's what I'm trying to say. So your thoughts are not going through the space anymore. Doesn't mean that the demigods are not there, or doesn't mean that the personality of Godhead is not, supreme personality of Godhead is not there. So just because we can't see, it means that we think that he's not there. So go to the next one, is 30th verse. Is anybody volunteering to read that? It's a very small purport.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Do you need to scroll up or? Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thereafter, the Manus, the fathers of mankind, the great sages, the forefathers, the learned scholars, the Daityas, and the mankind performed sacrifices meant to please the Supreme Lord. The Daityas are devotees of the demigods because they want to derive the greatest possible material facilities from them. The devotees of the Lord are Ekanishta, or absolutely attached to the devotional service of the Lord. Therefore, they have practically no time to seek the benefits of material facilities. Because of the realization of their spiritual identity, they are more concerned with spiritual emancipation than with material comforts. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you so much. So after hearing all the story from Lord Brahma, so everybody started, all the sages and forefathers and everybody, they started performing sacrifices, because that is what the Lord wants. The Lord only wants sacrifice, and that is for his satisfaction. So again, who are Daityas are trying to explain over here, and they are the ones who really like to worship the demigods because they want power, material things, all the gold and other stuff. Whereas devotees of the Lord will never go towards the materialistic stuffs, because they know that this is not, we leave everything behind, we can't take it with us. It's of no use to me. So they are attached to the devotional service of the Lord. In fact, they think that, oh my God, I don't want to waste my time even thinking about it. I want to do much service as much as possible. In this life, I have only one life. So because of that realization, so they seem to be more superior. Of course, they are much more superior than anybody else. So over here, I just wanted to say about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is from the Back to Godhead, one of the magazines. From what is the purpose of Vedas, you know? So this is given by Srila Prabhupada in New York on November 26, 1966. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu categorized all the teachings of the Vedic literature into 3 progressive stages. So Veda Shastra Kahe Sambandha Abhidheya Prayojana Krishna Prapya Sambandha Bhakti Praptera Sadhana. So the Vedic literature, what does it do? It gives information about the living entity. And what is the information of the living entity? Is the relationship, internal relationship with Krishna, which is called Sambandha. And the living entity is understanding of this relationship. So first of all, with the Vedic literatures, they give us information that we have a relationship with Krishna. So that is Sambandha. And then after understanding that we have the relationship with Krishna, then we need to act accordingly. And this is called Abhidheya. Returning home back to Godhead is the ultimate goal of life and is called Prayojana. So after you understand that your relationship with Krishna, and then you start acting on it. So what is the action for? It is to go back to Godhead or go back to Krishna. So that is called Prayojana. So that is said in the Sri Chaitanya Chaitamrita Madhya Leela, 20th chapter, 124 verse. So it goes on saying that why do we have the Vedas, you know, or the Vedic scriptures? Why were they made? It is not that they are made, but they are coming down to us by traditional process by hearing. For example, is giving like we accept not, this is like olden times I'm trying to say, but nowadays we have tests, so it's a bit difficult to say. So for example, we accept a father by hearing. So when a child is born and when he said that is his father, so child keeps on saying father. So by hearing, he will say, this is my father. There was no other way of questioning that time, olden times. But nowadays you can do genetic tests and you can say this is the father or not the father. Do you understand? That's a materialistic thing. But he's trying to say over here by simply hearing. So you have to hear, you have to use the auditory mechanism, or you have to use the senses. And by hearing, we come to know more of the things. So similarly, what they're trying to say is previously the Vedic knowledge also came by hearing. That time there was no need of books because books only came later. That time the mind, the intelligence was so strong. People had to just only look and then they can remember. So that was so strong. So we have deteriorated a lot. But when in Kali Yuga, what happens 5,000 years ago? So the Vedic scriptures were recorded because we don't have that much of memory to remember. So these were recorded and we have to remember, even when we read it 10 times, we can't remember, we have to come back again. So that is how our memory has deteriorated. Because previously, if somebody just a fleeting thing, they can remember also. They don't have to look, they have to think, they can remember. But not so now. So first, there was only one Veda apparently, known as Atharva Veda. Then Vyasadeva, just to make it clear, divided into 4 and entrusted his various disciples to take charge of one school of Veda. So Lord Chaitanya says the first purpose of Veda is Sambandha, or relationship. So again, in the Vedanta Sutra also, they says Janmayadi Asyayata. Everything is born out of the energy of the God, including us. Therefore, we call God Father. And that is accepted in every religion. So there is no argument in that. Now, so what is the relationship between the father and the son? Is the relationship for the son to only exact from the father? Is there no duty for the son? Or can he simply take from the father only all the time? No. There is a duty for the son. And if the son is sensible, when you say son, not only son and daughter, child, basically. If a son is sensible and if he's grown up, he knows that I have my duty and I have a duty to love my father. So that is, all of us are children of God, and this is what, it's not only God has to give us all the time, like father has to do everything for the child, or mother has to do everything for the child. The child also in return has to do something for the parents. So like my father has done so much for me, and I'm going to, like example, he's done so much for me, I'm going to own his property, I'm enjoying his earnings. So is it not our duty to do things for the father? So they're trying to say is in the same, I'm just reading from the magazine, is that those who are against the principle of God and who are not God-minded, they are the lowest creatures. So anyone who does not recognize God is the lowest of the lowest creatures. And these terms have been used, like Srila Prabhupada always uses mudha, as an ass, or dushtkritina, like a miscreant, and naradhama is the lowest of the mankind. So mankind is meant for recognizing God, yeah? Because animals cannot read the Vedas or scriptures, so they cannot take any instructions. So these Vedas and other scriptures are meant for human beings. So if you do not, so therefore the so-called human beings with 2 hands and 2 legs are animals if they do not accept the authority of scripture and do not accept the existence of God. So Bhagavad Gita very nicely describes them as Naradhama, the lowest of mankind. So our civilization is now going to the lowest of mankind, and we're trying to advertise that we are advancing. So we're just trying to say, like, we're just doing the vipreet opposite of what it is supposed to be. So we are spiritually very poor. That is what Srila Prabhupada is trying to say. He wants to make us spiritually rich. We are not. So that is why he wanted to spread this Krishna consciousness. And all of us have a role to do that, to follow his dreams. And hopefully we will all be able to do that. At least for our own selfish needs, we should do it first. For our own self, doesn't matter. That's the best way to start, and then later sacrifice for other people. So at least we become a bit more Krishna consciousness and do things sincerely. And then slowly, we can start giving things for others. So like how people, when in the beginning, when they're poor, they like to do things for themselves first. Actually, no, I think sometimes it's wrong. People who do not have enough money, they are the ones who sacrifice a lot. People who have lots of money sacrifice less, you know. So, I mean, this magazine has lots of stuff, but I think I'll stop it here. Please forgive me, please, for any mistakes, please please correct me for any mistakes I've done, and any questions, any queries. The floor is open. Hare Krishna. Any questions at all? Any comments? At least somebody can give comments.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
I think you explained it very well, and I understood a lot of it today. It's gone in, and I can see what we have to do, and also where we are. We're nowhere near bhakti, but we're trying our best to see and not see Krishna, but to love him and surrender to him. Thank you so much.
If your love is pure, he might appear in some form. You have to only recognize. Doesn't have to be Krishna as the person with the flute and a blue colored body and a smiling face and dark eyes and or dark hair. It doesn't have to be like that. That is one depiction of somebody, okay? But Krishna can be in any form. Any form. You have to only recognize. Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. Yes, that's explained. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Haribol. Yeah, thank you. You explained so beautifully and clear. I must say that I understood the three way of approaching Krishna, your relationship with Krishna, Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana was very clearly explained and connected with what you do to make it work. So that was really our take home for me, which was really nice. Thank you very much. And I like the pace you use, which is it suits me for my learning, because sometimes when it's going too fast, I don't catch it all, and it leaves me in a lot of sort of confused state, wondering what did I learn from that? How can I take it in my daily living and put it into practice? So yeah, those three bits about serving Krishna, our relationship, and how we take that forward. So if you can repeat that Abhideya, please.
The Sambandha.
Sambandha, that's your
Thing
relationship
is,
with Krishna.
yeah, first of all, we should know why we are here. Okay.
Yeah.
And the main thing is they're trying to say is you have a relationship with Krishna.
Yeah.
So the basic the Vedic literatures, they give the information that about the living entity and our relationship with Krishna. So that is called Sambandha. Now, once we know that we have relationship with Krishna, then we have to understand what is the reason for this relationship, and why are we having this relationship. So, and once we know there's a relationship for Krishna, then we start working towards a relationship with Krishna. So once you know that this is my mother or this is my father, then I want to do something for my mother or something for my father. That is called Abhideya. Or you're acting. So the action is called Abhideya. What do you want to do? Yeah.
Put it in action. Yeah.
Action. Yeah. Abhideya. And what is the goal? What is the goal of what? So what is the goal of your action? Is to give back your love, whatever. So you want to buy a jewel, or you want to buy a sari, or you want to give her a nice meal or something. That is the action. So, but why you want to do that? So that you want to give your love. Yeah. And why are you doing it in the first place is because you have a relationship with that person. So if there was no relationship, we won't do things for people if you don't like anything, right? So I'm talking about materialistic things. So I mean, over here also with Krishna, even though we say transcendental, not attached and all that, there is an attachment for Krishna. That's why we're doing all this, isn't it? So to know what is that attachment, we are all of us are. So we have to know that we are children of Krishna. We are children. That relationship. Once you know that we are the children of Krishna, then we start doing. So what do? We start doing our service to Krishna. Start performing. And why do we do? Because we want to go back to Him.
Yeah.
So there's three things. So those, I think, it's very simple. We have to keep it very simple, and we don't need to do all big tamjam, and the most simple. So the less is more, less is more. Yeah,
that's what I love. And also is the main reason is because Krishna loves us so. Nobody else does. So who do you get attached to more? The person that loves you, and you are able to reciprocate that love. So that is so beautiful. Thank you, Mataji. Well put. You articulated it beautifully. Thank you. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for a brilliant class as usual. May I please ask a question, please?
Please, Mataji.
You beautifully explained about Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana, but I'm confused because in the past when we hear the classes, there is also a saying of Anya Bilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmana Vratam Anukulyana Krishna Nushilanam Bhakti Rutama, which means I think that you shouldn't have any motive behind serving Krishna. So I'm confused now. Could you kindly share some light?
Mataji, why are we here in this world? So the first starting, every time the scriptures when we read, always they say that and from the beginning only, Krishna, why do we have to come to this earth? Because it is our free will we came to this earth, right?
Mhm.
So even before, this is what is my understanding. So, I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong of here. So we have come into this world because we have a free will. We wanted. Krishna will never, it's like how parents will never, okay, they will try to correct them or protect them for some reason. But then if the child insists that, no, I want to go there, then okay, you go. They'll send. So same way Krishna sends us over here. Because he doesn't like to keep us bound, yeah? So we come into this earth over here. So but we are still the children of Krishna. So we still have a relationship with Krishna.
Yeah.
So we have a relationship with Krishna. So once we realize that we have a relationship with Krishna, okay, then you want to do, so now you want to return back your love or whatever so that is why you want to perform an action.
Okay.
So you want to do that. So that whatever you perform, like you're doing your service to the Lord, that is because that is the action you want to perform because you want to go back to your father.
Yeah.
Main action is going back to the father. So that is not, I don't think that will be like any motivation, like.
Okay.
That is a main thing we have gone. See, it's like coming back home, isn't it?
Yeah.
You went from the house, from as a child, whatever it is, you went out to study, to school and to other countries, to roam and come back. But your happiness comes back only when you come back to your own house.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when you come back to your own house, you feel so relaxed and so happy. So that is the same thing, but the same physical. So basically, as you say, the reflection, perverted reflection of the spiritual world. The same thing happens over here too. So here also, your home is there in the spiritual world, but you're stuck over here in this material world and you want to go back. That going back is not a selfish motive, right? It is where I belong to.
Yeah. Okay.
So in that way, I would not think it is like a selfish motive. That is what you were trying to say, Mataji. Was that what you meant?
Well, basically, I was just confused that then, sometimes you find it's conflicting information because one minute, for example, like Krishna says, I'm not within you, but then he is within our heart as a super soul. So I just was a bit confused that I think you're right that it's not a personal motive because then it should be that we are serving Krishna here in this material world. So our motive should be to go to the spiritual world and serve his lotus feet there. So that is not for us, it's to please him. So you're right.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need to go back. Our main thing is, but we can only do that when we go back there. How are we going to go back there? And the other thing is, sometimes when you say, no, Krishna, I'm not there, I'm there. Okay. That when we take things literally, then it becomes a problem. Okay. So when we take many things literally, it becomes really a problem because our mind always wants answers, as I was trying to say. Our mind always wants answers.
Yeah.
And that is the scientific way. Because that's the scientist in you. Okay. Want to say like 1 + 1 is equal to 2. They want evidence all the time. But if you can't give evidence, does not mean that it is not there. Just because you can't see it.
Okay.
So some things you can't see it because you can't understand it. And because you can't understand it, you can't see it.
Okay.
If you understood, if that knowledge, for example, like if I can give you for a small child, you give him some complex maths, he will not be able to understand. But if you give him the knowledge to make him understand, right? Then he will ask, oh yes, I can see that, we'll say. But just because we don't have the knowledge does not mean that it is not there.
Okay. Okay.
But we are not able to understand because of our condition. We are very conditioned.
Yeah.
So that will require with service. So that is what I'm saying. When we serve the Lord, then your consciousness will open up more and more. And once your consciousness will open up, then your awareness will increase. Once your awareness increases of your surroundings, you will see more things which you were not able to see before.
Yeah, true.
Before you to just walk because you're not giving any attention that side, right? So when you start giving attention, you'll say, oh my God, this how come I missed this? I didn't even see all this. Because you're concentrating your mind there. So that is because now this is focused concentration. That is why you're able to see things. But we're talking about spiritual consciousness. So in the spiritual consciousness, what happens is your awareness will start opening up more and more. You will start feeling things. So you're opening up your senses more. So your senses are doing the work. So all the time, it is only our eyes, our mind, and our ears we are doing, right? You have to think about the feel of the body. So all those senses will start coming. Once you start feeling, sometimes people are not there, but you feel something is there. And that's because your awareness has increased.
Okay.
Once your awareness increases, and this happens, this awareness, I can tell you examples, when this awareness also increases out. Especially when, suppose, somebody is very sensitive, if somebody is very angry, then they won't see things at all. They will just go. Somebody is, say, somebody's loved one is passed away, right? Then you see, or somebody loved one is passing away, then you see for every small thing you say, it will be exaggerated for them. Because for them, anything you say, they feel it very much. Even sensitive things, even the same person, maybe some days ago, you said the same thing, they will not feel bad. But when somebody is in a very bad condition or dying, that time you cannot say the same words again, because they will take it so much to heart. That is because the senses are becoming so heightened, so aware. They become multifold. And we see this every time in the hospital, because they become super sensitive when somebody is. We have to be very careful when we speak to people when the loved ones are really suffering. And anything you say, you have to be very, very cautious of what you say, because they might always misunderstand. And that is because of the heightened senses. They perceive things. They quickly catch things, So this quickly, but this is just an example how I'm giving how senses can increase. Your awareness can increase.
Okay.
But the same awareness can increase when we do more Krishna consciousness. You will see how people can understand each other very well. Even without talking, unspoken words, you can still understand what the other person is saying.
Okay.
So that's because your senses are increased.
Thank you.
Was that okay,
Hare
Mataji?
Krishna, Mataji. I understand what Mataji is trying to address, because we do get these mixed messages sometimes.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about motives, is to do, I think, the one that is not very acceptable is the ulterior motive, which is in a material sense. And the spiritual motive could be good desires that you're desiring to be with Krishna. It's a good thing, it's not a bad thing. But how do you get, you will reach that stage is the three stages, as Mataji listed. Sorry, my voice is not allowing. Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana, because they are actually giving you an idea how you could perform to reach that stage. You mentioned about selfish motive. Well, originally it is your personal selfish desire to be with Krishna. And then when we associate with other people, we share those knowledge and experience, and when it sort of come to light, you beam with it. You cannot hold it on your own. And the idea is to share. Prabhupada always says, don't be selfish and keep it to yourself. Share it so we can all enjoy, because we're here for the same reason. And we're all striving to be happy. What makes you happy? This is a big question, so I know what you're saying, though, because if you listen to all these different lectures, and some of the Shastras do say, you mustn't go with desires. You want. Well, it's a different kind of want, it's a different desire. It's
This is a need, I would say, rather than a want.
Yes, it's a need, not a want.
So there's a
And
difference
also,
between need and want. Yeah.
yes, and also you're actually, it's not a bad thing, but you're not being selfish with it. You're not saying, years ago when we did learn something, or we worked hard at achieving our kind of what shall I say, academic level, and that you work hard at it and nobody wants to share because they have worked hard at it and they want to be seen as better than you, you know, and that kind of thing. It's not a competitive world. It's a, well, what Prabhupada is saying. Look how kind he was to everybody, all age, all depend on your social status. You were same. He treated you the same.
Yes, absolutely.
You know,
Thank you. That was very
it was just
beautiful.
pure love, pure love. That is the hard stage, to receive pure love and be non-judgmental and just be loving to each and everybody.
Okay. Thank
Absolutely.
you, Mataji. Thank you so
And you're welcome. I just wanted to again say, like, again, why do we have the scriptures? You know, the scriptures are there to remind us, you know. So Lord Chaitanya says that we have to revive a relationship, a lost relationship with Krishna. So we had a relationship which we lost and we have to reconnect it back again. So that when we start doing that, then only we feel that that is called civilization. That's what Srila Prabhupada is saying. The relationship is there already. Yeah, it is there. And this, as a supreme cause is Krishna or God, but some way or the other, I've forgotten. So therefore, we have these scriptures like the Vedas, Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. They're there to remind us. They're meant for reminding us that my relationship with Krishna is eternal. So because I've forgotten, I'm suffering here. Yeah?
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji, Jan Priya Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for a wonderful class, Mataji. Yeah, come more often.
Thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Should we say our last prayers?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Yeah. Don't see
Patitanam Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna, everyone.
Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for the wonderful class. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mataji.
for the
Wonderful
beautiful
class.
class.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Thank you.